Today we bring you the big, bad, and rad Brad Neitzel. What drives a strength athlete to pursue a 900-pound deadlift? We had the opportunity to hear what type of dedication, desire, and discipline it takes over years of consistency, not to only reach current goals, but to pursue new ones that you never knew were possible before. Brad has competed in motocross, bodybuilding, powerlifting, and currently training for nationals in strongman competition. He's not only a competitor, but Brad also coaches athletes in powerlifting, strongman, and Special Olympics. When he's not deadlifting a semi, he's also a licensed chiropractor and loyal dog father. We learned a lot from Brad, and we hope you enjoy the podcast. Finally, this episode of the Iron Huddle podcast is sponsored by Torque Strength and Conditioning. Torque Strength and Conditioning is a great place to work out and offers a variety of programs such as Torque CrossFit, Torque Barbell, Torque Fit, personal coaching, and youth and teen development.
So we're lucky enough, thanks to Massonomics and Contrabrand, to have Brad Neitzel here with us today. Future strongman competitor nationally, right?
Yep.
How'd you get in all this? What was your start?
So, long story short, I was a really fat 12-year-old.
Like all of us?
Like all of us, yeah.
I was lucky.
I think I peaked at like 225 when I was 12.
So was that like 7th grade? Or
Yeah, 6th, 7th grade.
6th, okay.
And then I started to race motocross, and then realized I can't be fat doing this.
What'd you race in motocross? What was your...
So I raced ATV motocross for like, God, I think my last year was when I was 23.
So like, is that four-wheelers or is it just
four-wheelers.
a bike? It was, okay.
Yep.
No. Very cool. So did you grow up in the country and get to practice in your backyard, or did you have to go somewhere every week to learn all the tricks of the trade and everything?
Yeah, so I grew up in the country, so I could ride out there a little bit, but of course we didn't have a track in our backyard or anything, so we had to travel a little bit for that.
Yeah, that's a long commitment too, because I imagine those events you went to weren't all local, right? You probably had to travel some states, or...
Yeah, I was over my career, like when we raced nationals, I went to New York, Kentucky, Georgia, all over the East Coast.
That's really cool. So, did you have any siblings in that, or did your dad get you started? How did that kind of come to be?
So I started from my mom's side of the family.
Oh, very cool.
So my grandpa raced, my uncle raced, cousin raced.
Did you have your height back then too? Were you like just a giant on a little train, or how did that work?
I was 6'4" going into high school.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden I just stopped growing.
Yeah.
How tall are you? 6?
Yeah, where'd you cap out at?
So I was 6'4" last time I measured, but I think after squatting I'm like 6'3" now.
That's respectable.
Shit.
So then you started getting all the not the snowcross, but the motocross, is that it? Okay.
Yep.
Did that give you some sort of a bug for like competing and...
Oh yeah.
Is that what? Okay.
Yep. Once my first race, I remember vividly. I got last.
Yeah.
Because I was on this like little 80cc four-wheeler, and I was 200 pounds. Like most of these other kids are like 50 pounds.
Dad, need a bigger engine.
When I lost 50 pounds the following summer.
How'd you do that? Holy cow.
I just stopped eating like a fat ass.
Yeah.
Started being outside.
Now, was there another goal inside besides getting faster on your four-wheeler? Was there like you getting ready for a sport as well? You want to be more athletic, or any other incentive in losing some of the weight, or was it just based off of...
Mostly that. I mean, I played basketball to high school growing up, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that was never as passionate about that stuff as I was for motocross.
Yeah. Very cool. So are you still involved in any of that today, the motocross at all, or coaching, or in it, or...
Not really. I mean, I still have contacts in that area, but it's one of those things that's a whole different lifestyle.
Yeah. Besides now, you'd have to be in monster truck rally.
Yeah, I was a trim like 210 pounds back then when I was racing.
I wish I could say that.
Yeah, no shit, right?
So then through, losing all the weight and everything, what kind of got you into the weightlifting world? Was that in high school, after high school? Kind of where did that all formulate for you?
So I started lifting hard when I was about 16.
Okay.
And then during a basketball season, I busted up both my ankles, and all I could do all winter is because I couldn't ride, so I started lifting. And then I picked up a bodybuilding magazine, and I'm like, I'm going to do that. And I signed up for a bodybuilding show that I think that was like 12 weeks later.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
When I was 17, I think it was.
Okay.
Wow. So you did your first bodybuilding competition as a teenager then?
As a teenager, yep.
How long did you say
division, I imagine?
I think 12 weeks.
12 weeks.
Wow.
I've seen pictures. You're pretty diced.
Yeah, I think that first contest I basically did like a chicken and broccoli diet for 12 weeks in water. I was miserable.
Oh, that sounds.
How'd you end up in that? Do you remember? Was it a teenage division or?
Yep, it was the teen division. I got second in that.
Oh, good for you. All right. And I imagine, I don't know much about bodybuilding, being taller is it a disadvantage?
Yeah, it's basically the advantage in strongman is opposite for that.
Yeah.
Because if you're 6'4", you got to be,
It's a lot more
you got
mass.
to weigh a lot to fill out that frame compared to someone who's
Yeah.
5'4",
Yeah.
James Vane.
5'6".
That's cool. So then, through the bodybuilding, I imagine you transferred then into doing more heavier lifting, or how did that journey kind of come?
Yeah, so I started doing bodybuilding. I just love to lift heavy. Like I just deadlifted, I think, like 3 times a week in high school. That's like what I was good at. So that's
Yeah.
all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then eventually, powerlifting came into play when I went to college.
Okay. Where'd you go to school at?
So I did my undergrad at University of Wisconsin La Crosse.
Okay.
And then I met a friend in the weight room, and he goes, you should sign up for a powerlifting meet. I'm like, okay. And then I wore a power belt for the first time and cracked a rib squatting.
How'd that feel?
What's a power belt? Just a weightlifting belt, or is it
So
something
yeah, just
different?
a leather belt.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Because
those-
yep. So I mean, I knew nothing at the time. He's like, you want
Yeah.
this thing as tight as possible, as tight as you can get it. So like, I'm sucking it in. My buddy's like getting this belt as tight as possible. I unracked the squat and I just felt a crack.
Oh wow.
I cracked it.
Yeah, so it's probably as soon as you braced and pushed out,
Yep.
went.
Were
Yeah.
you able even to? Did you just re-rack the weight? Were you even able to complete the lift? Obviously not, but
No, I just
Just
re-racked
right
it.
back,
I'm
okay.
like, we're going to the ER.
that would have been a magic.
Still your
story if you
motherfucking
did,
set.
Yeah.
Just lightweight, man. Just lift it, okay?
So your recovery must have been a long time during that too. I can't imagine.
It
that's
was,
easy to
I mean,
breathe.
yeah, like breathing, laughing, all that. Like I just sleep like upright for a few weeks.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was just one of like the smaller ribs, so it wasn't a real big deal.
Gotcha. So that was your
That was my first experience.
first experience. Yeah, you have some tough runner-ups in those
Yeah.
first competitions you're always in. So then that was your first bite into it. You continued, I imagine, every year getting to one or a couple of events every year. Or?
Yeah, so then I went through like a phase of like 5 years where I would like get fat during the winter, do a powerlifting meet,
Yeah.
and then trim like 40 pounds for racing every spring.
Oh wow! So you're still doing racing at this point?
Yeah, so I was doing that for like 3 or 4 years.
Wow. Were you still traveling pretty far for those races too?
Yeah, so I was really lucky. My last year racing, I signed a contract with the national team.
Okay.
And then I had a sponsor that his son raced.
Okay.
And he kind of, like his family kind of adopted me as like a second son. So I was able to go in there, like they had like a 40-foot motorhome with like a 30-foot enclosed trailer. So then I was still in school, so then I would be able to ride in the motorhome with them, basically do my homework, I had yet left over, sleep in the back, and then just race and then go home.
Nice. You're a rock star, yeah.
Hardcore.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So then, when are you still competing in powerlifting, or is it more focused for you now in strongman? Or when did the strongman come along through your powerlifting journey?
So the strongman came along right at the end of undergrad. I met a strongman at the gym. And again, it was a strongman. I met him.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I'm doing strongman in like 4 weeks. You should do it. And my response, okay.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, that's good. You to be a bikini model.
So that was your undergrad, you said that you did
Yeah.
that? Okay, so then, if that was your first meet, like what were some of the competitions that you had to do and everything?
The events.
Yeah.
So it was, my first strongman was the first winter assault. So was that like 5 years ago now? I think it was.
Okay.
Was that at the convention center as well, or where was that?
This was at that old gym that was north of the city. It's closed now.
Okay.
I forget, it was a giant warehouse gym.
Oh,
What was it called?
Oh, in New Brighton there?
oh my God! I bought a bunch of their
Yeah.
equipment when they went out of business.
Yep. So that place was.
They had
Alliance.
Like
Yep. That was.
Yeah,
it.
or Legions.
Allegiance.
Legions.
Yep.
Legions Fitness.
they had a sand pit in there too. You could do stuff in, if I remember.
That place was
Really?
awesome, but Dane Bates worked there.
Yeah.
It was a good idea. Didn't last.
Yep.
It was in business, what, 2 years?
I think it was
A little bit
2 or 3
longer?
years.
Yeah.
So how'd you do at that event?
So that was the contest, and this was. So I got second in the open, I think, and I cut to 231 for that.
So what did you enter as? Did they have different? I mean, obviously you're not going as a pro, I imagine.
No, so I was
went as a
just.
novice?
So I didn't even know about novice class.
Okay.
So like I just like my friend was like, yeah, just sign up for whatever weight class you're gonna be. I was like 245. He's like, just cut to 231. I'm like, okay. And then it was a few weeks out, and he's like, yeah, sometimes they have a novice class and the weights are a lot lighter. I'm like, thanks, dude.
Appreciate it.
So then,
What kind of friends are we, right?
so then I emailed Tim, who is a promoter of it. I'm like, so I heard there was a novice class, and he's like, too bad.
He's got your entry already.
Yep. And he's like, I think the novice class is full already, so you're in. So then I ended up getting second in the open.
That's really good.
wow.
Though.
Yeah,
Always
yeah.
going for that. Do you remember the events were there and which ones you were good at, which ones you didn't do so
So
well
they
at?
had, I think the first one was a overhead medley, like a log and an axle,
Okay.
and I got like 1 rep.
Yeah. What were the weights? Do you remember at that point? Like,
I think the axle was like 225 and the log was about the same.
Okay.
And I zeroed the log.
Yeah.
And you had to go back and forth between the two.
And up to that point, had you had much experience training with that type of device? Or was it all brand new for you to just go in there and show up that day?
I think I touched the log twice before that.
Okay. Yeah.
So like the axle wasn't that bad because I did some Olympic lifting as like for fun
Yeah.
on the side.
Yeah.
So then I could do the axle all right, but the log was terrible. And then we had a tire flip medley, which is basically just a glorified deadlift variation. So I was decent at that.
Yeah.
Frame carry the same. The deadlift was some kind of, I think it was a frame deadlift, and that transferred well. I think I like tied for first in that event.
Okay.
And the last one was a carry and load medley with like a Atlas stone, a sandbag, and something else. And that was the first time I touched any of those.
Okay. So then from there, did you feel like it was something, finishing second in the open was obviously something that you were good at?
Yep.
Did you find a gym to then capitalize on your strengths, or did you kind of just decide you're going to do this on your, how did you go from there?
So this was, I think, the last year I was at lacrosse. And then I decided to come up here for chiropractic school.
Okay.
And then when I moved up here to the cities, Tim, who's a promoter of it,
Yeah.
I messaged him. I'm like, I want to learn to do this. Can I come train with you? And he was the one that taught me how to actually do a lot of stuff.
And he has all those different lifting components actually at his house, right?
Yep.
From what I've seen, he does all of his training in his yard, in his garage, and all that type of stuff, right? Kind of old school like that, right?
Yep. There's been many times where we've been doing yoke in his driveway and it's been snowing. I'm like, this is dumb, but then I go for my sit anyways.
Yeah, fuck it.
What?
That's what we've talked about here. Like, dude, we just, like, today it was nice out. We should have got some of the toys out, but I'm like, man, I gotta open up the garage door.
You gotta sweat.
I gotta, like, move it. I'm just gonna do triceps.
And then if you being at Tim's house and everything, I can imagine he's probably not the only one with experience here. So you probably had different people telling you their best advice, which probably helped you a lot, right?
Right, like, I think
confidence-wise.
Tim's been at Worlds, I think it was under 200 a couple times.
Okay.
His wife is, she was, when she was still living in Australia, I think she was the strongest woman there for a while.
Okay.
And then like the connections they have and
Yeah.
experience, like he's really good friends with Nick Best.
Okay.
And some of like high level guys.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
I've seen a thing or two.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So with that experience, were you guys doing I think the toughest one for me being short would be like the single fingers. Is that still a thing in Strongman? And if
It
so,
is.
do you
I actually
do
have one of
house
those
or-
sitting in my backyard right
Oh,
now.
really?
Yep.
Wow. How do you do those things weigh? Like, what is the max they usually go to an event you're going to go at?
So I think Worlds for like top level, I think they do 5 fingers. I remember the third one being like 550.
Jesus.
And I think it's like 600. And
Does anybody ever finish all 5 in your guys'? I know in the Worlds they do that, like in your events.
Oh,
do
so
they finish them?
usually, like if you see a famous finger at a local event, it'll
Yeah.
be like 1.
Okay.
And you just flip it back and forth because there's not many promoters going to buy 5 famous fingers.
I always felt bad for the guys too pushing the carts behind the competitor because if that thing falls, like they've got to run too. They're going to get hit in the head, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like that's a very even training. I imagine you guys just run out of the way and hits the ground, or do they have?
Yeah,
like a
so I
secure
usually
height?
have like a buddy with me that will throw like a tire down because A, I don't want to get hurt, and B, I don't want to ruin my finger.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a toy.
Yeah, this would be a real close friend, I bet too. Stand behind the tire.
I don't have a pissed off girlfriend back there. Oops.
So what event is your favorite to do in the strongman competitions? If you could pick your own, what would your top be for yourself?
Any kind of straight bar deadlift.
Okay.
Preferably off the floor.
Okay.
It's one of my better events.
And that's your strength overall, right? You're a big deadlifter.
Yeah.
Okay. And what would your weaknesses be when it comes to strongman?
My worst events are the overhead events.
Okay.
Particularly the circus dumbbell is one of the things that I just suck.
The circus, that's the one-handed press.
Oh,
right?
that big
Behind your
fucking
neck,
car.
Yeah, so like a giant dumbbell like this that you got to hold with one hand and then press overhead like that.
And I've wondered too, maybe you know this, is I think when they're either going for reps or maybe there's different sized weighted circus dumbbells, can you alternate arms or do you always have to use the same arm that you began to lift with?
So if it's like reps, you can go arm for arm if you want
can.
back and forth.
Okay.
But how many guys are equally balanced?
Well, that's the thing.
Like,
It's like, watching the world's strongest man at home, you're sitting there just laughing, like, give him a rep, you weenie. Yeah. But you don't realize how strong it actually, right?
Well,
and they're always that same arm. They never really rotate.
Yeah. Is that something, so can you, this is the Olympic weightlifter in me, I don't know enough, but can you like rebend the knee or does it have to be a strict like press or how does that work?
So for an overhead event, you can basically press any way you want.
Okay.
The only exception is sometimes when there's a Viking press, where like it's attachment like this, where it's like fixed.
Yeah.
There's no, you can't double dip.
Okay.
So it has to be.
Okay, but that,
Other than that, for circus dumbbell, you can, however you get the thing locked out overhead, or an axle log, same thing.
can
That's a good
anyone,
question.
so could you do a single arm jerk? Is that crazy?
Yeah, that's actually, I've
That's
seen a lot
basically
of
what you
guys,
want to try and do.
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah.
If you watch this recent, they just posted the recent World's Strongest Man competition on ESPN.
Yeah.
And it's all over YouTube or whatever. But I've noticed this year at least, almost everyone's doing almost like the press with the double knee bend.
Like a
push
power
jerk.
jerk, push jerk.
Power,
Okay.
yeah.
I actually kind of want to try this out. Jerk's my jam. So just when I play around, I would still suck at it. It'd be fun to try.
I have three dumbbells in my garage right now. I could have brought one.
What the fuck, man? You should have brought it. We could have played. I got my boots and jeans on. We could have made it manly as
Let's
fuck.
do Zach Moore's timeout. You guys all start over again.
All right, pause it. Go home. Come back.
We can use Ty Morelli. How about that's funny because that Martins Lisis, however you say his name, he's a big, and they're doing the log press. I think he's more athletic based as far as the push press. He's doing a lot of the Olympic style knee bend to get over the other guys. They just power jerk that stuff.
Yeah, him, and then there's another strongman named Rob Kearney.
Okay.
And he split jerks every log.
Oh, no shit.
That's
pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, Martins splits it too. I think.
And
Yeah.
I saw him a couple weeks ago post a video. He split jerk a 450 log for a double.
Christ.
What's it like to
insane.
re-rack a log?
It's hard enough to re-rack a bar. I couldn't imagine.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I think even the wrist strength in your arms too. Everyone's so used
Well,
to doing the going to the neutral grip there.
You have a lot more strength in neutral grip than you would here because it's just a different position.
But it's got to be.
But it's still harder.
The
Like,
stabilization of it. Those
oh hell yeah!
tougher,
Like,
yeah.
especially with that. I mean, because this,
That's the-
like to me, they're not as fixed as you would be with a barbell.
And you're not just grabbing it off like a rack. You're the hardest part that I see
you
is
gotta
like,
pick
I
it
don't
up off the ground.
Get it up to your pull it up to the top of the belt, then
That's
belly
what
up.
fascinates me. It's like a row into like a, I don't know, hump and air.
Yeah.
Boom.
Well, it's almost like back in the day of like the old competitors, and they had the push press as an event in the Olympics, right?
Or no, strict press.
A strict press.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it turned into a
Well, it turned into
back
a
press.
fucking push press.
But then you look at like Big Z now, and when he kind of started, he just did the power belly, boom, and now everyone's doing that.
Yeah,
you almost
yeah.
have to.
Yeah.
What is yours technique with that?
So when I was smaller, I would have a lot more like a push jerk style.
And so hold on, what's smaller for you? Is that like the 230?
Yeah, wait, how much do you weigh right now?
305.
305.
Jesus.
So
So
by
you went from
smaller, I mean
230 to
240.
340.
Finally, someone bigger than me. I feel good. I feel slim.
Those straps are glorious.
Mine or his, you dick.
Well, his obviously. So what is your technique? You the same way we get your belt, and then just try to inch it up to your
So
your sternum up here?
with a log, there's a little bit more technique where you can like get it locked here, tighten your upper
roll it
back,
up.
and roll it up. But with an axle, you either have to do like a lot of guys will try if it's light, they'll do like a power clean with it, which isn't great because the weight doesn't spin. It's hard on your wrist.
Oh, yeah.
So that's where you see that clean where it like comes up to your stomach, and then you're hopping here, and then you gotta get that back up there.
So question on that too, after watching all the replays of the World Series event this year, is that's something that you'll train for, is to get that big pull off the ground, obviously, but you have to, do you train for that in your training as well to get as high of a pull as you can, or you just kind of hope that day you can do it because you deadlift a lot, you know what I mean? Like,
So I don't necessarily train like a high pull. If that's what you're
okay,
saying.
yes,
But like if I'm training like 12 weeks for a contest and I'll just axle off the floor, every time I press, it's
it's
axle
part of
off
your
the
lift,
floor.
okay.
Okay. So you're basically just specializing going into a comp.
I didn't know if it was also an accessory you're doing within
Yeah.
the lift to make sure, if you overload it, then the 300 or 400 is not going to be that much. But
Yeah.
I mean,
can't
if
imagine
you have like a upper back weakness, that's definitely something you can do. But if you see a good strongman, upper back isn't a weakness.
Absolutely. And then and then for you said your deadlift is your strength.
Yep.
What is your best deadlift right now?
So my best strongman deadlifts, that includes straps, hitching,
Okay.
etc. I pulled 855 about a month ago.
Oh, damn. Oh, yeah. Very nice. So then with that, at the events that you're going to be going to this summer, is it the summer it's happening or?
So the next one's the end of February.
End of February,
So it's
okay.
like 8 weeks.
Okay, now is that one a contraption like at World's Strongest Man where they dump a keg into it and you keep adding weight as you're going? Or is it just as many reps of the same weight?
So this is going to be a max deadlift from the floor. You get 3 attempts.
So like one rep then?
One rep,
Okay,
yep.
okay.
And then as far as I know, like they're using a Texas deadlift bar right off the
They
floor.
are.
Oh, nice.
Okay, what was the difference with the Arnold uses the elephant bar? Is that a little bit thicker?
rogue
Or is
elephant
that,
bar. So like the biggest
Okay.
difference with that, I think it's like 10 or 11 feet long.
is that why? Okay.
Yeah, so you get more of that whip, and then
Sure.
the weight doesn't all come off the ground at once.
Okay. Yeah.
So like as the bar starts to bend, you get more and more weight. So then where you maybe get the full 1,000 pounds is maybe 2 inches higher than usual.
And then for these events, are they using the really thin weights like you'd use at a powerlifting meet, or are they thicker like a normal?
So that's one of those things in strongman that you show up that day
You
and
just
see
don't
what
know.
they got.
Okay.
Okay.
But are you training with the Texas deadlift bar, so you're at least putting yourself in
Yep.
that area, so you're used to the bar whip and everything?
Yeah, so I usually always train with the Texas deadlift bar.
Okay.
Even if I have like an axle coming up in a contest, like I'll train axle once or twice.
Yeah.
But I'll still use a deadlift bar because I don't want to say it's easier per se, but it's easier on your body.
Yeah.
Because you get that little bend first.
Yeah.
And I mean, and a stronger deadlift is a stronger deadlift.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you ever change to like a stiffer bar just to, when you go to a Texas, you're gonna have that much more pull, or does that not carry over, transfer over?
So to me, I don't. I mean, I know a lot of guys that do, but the biggest difference to me between the two is just how it feels coming off the floor.
Gotcha.
So if you can get over that like psychological component of it coming off the floor harder, I don't see, because if I'm getting stronger in this bar, I'm going to be stronger in that bar too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And then another cool thing I like to ask, because it seems like it's the big thing going around now with strongman, is what's your bench press? Like, I know Brian Chowlon did 505 for like 5 reps, which is amazing, and people started ripping on
I was
it.
like, people start talking shit because they're
He
like,
weighs
body weight.
450. That's a lot of weight,
That's
right?
still insane.
And I think a lot of the guys have kind of started bench pressing a little bit. But had you ever bench press at all or not?
I still bench press every other week now.
And where do you max out at? With that?
I hit a 440 last fall.
Oh, very nice. Okay. You got longer arms and everything too with those tiny hands. No, that's really good, actually.
Oh, did you say Burger King?
Yeah.
What do I have to do with these tiny hands? I have a story about that after the
But
podcast.
how was the, and for you, because you're what, 6'5", you said?
6'4".
Okay. Is it very difficult? What's your squat stance? Like, are you a wider stance to get your hips down below parallel? Or
Especially
how do you set up?
being that tall, that's got to be hard.
Yeah.
So my squat stance is wide, but not like super wide. I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's probably like something here, just up.
Yeah.
Just outside the shoulders.
And is a squat going to be part of one of the events in the strongman event? Do you go
Rarely.
to at all? Rarely.
Rarely. Like I know in Worlds 2 years ago they had the
Yeah.
squat.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think the cheerleaders on top and they're doing crazy stuff in the 70s.
So I personally love to see a squat event.
The what one?
I would love to see a squat event.
Yeah. Are you a big squatter then too? Okay.
Yeah,
What's your
that's one
max
thing.
around that? Whether it's strongman or powerlifting, it doesn't really matter, I guess.
I think the biggest squat I hit last year was 700 for a double.
Were you 305 then as well?
About there.
About
Yeah.
that. Good for you. That's crazy.
I was a couple weeks out before nationals last fall.
So do they hold the same standards as most powerlifting federations? I know there's deviation from there, and that's probably some you guys.
Probably
So
Right.
usually for strongman to take like the judging component out, they'll actually set up something there that's predetermined for your height, and then the bar has to tap.
Okay.
Okay, how do they predetermine for your height? So is that something?
I don't know. That's something
think-
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, they must
They'll
because you
find
look
out.
at ours. Yeah.
Yeah, the taller you are, the higher it is, obviously. So yeah,
It's probably
yeah,
sane also. Your hip is probably generally close to your knee somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm sure Marius was adjusting his height versus some of the taller guys like Dave Austin. He was one against. Something
Yeah,
like
for
that.
sure. That makes sense.
And with that, do you ever, who's like someone that you look up to in the or you want to kind of chase in these strongman events? Someone that you kind of replicate yourself after, try to learn from specifically, or that you look up to?
I like to think you can almost learn something from almost everyone, whether it's something you should do or shouldn't do.
Yeah. Okay, who don't you like? Let's get into it.
Now that can be a story for after the podcast.
Usually is. We've heard it all.
There's a pay-per-view prescription. In
It's going to release all the dirt with it.
Yes. So what is, from everything you're learning, is there anything in particular that you can remember, like, hey, he taught me this, or they gave me an idea for that? Anyone that sticks out kind of in that direction at all? Or even Tim?
Probably like the best story I have for like seeing like the first time I saw a pro strongman was when I was in undergrad in lacrosse.
Okay.
There's this pro strongman lives there. His name's Pete Conrad.
Okay.
He doesn't really compete anymore that much.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing him walking in the gym. He's about as tall as I am.
Okay.
And he was like 330 at the time.
Jesus, yeah.
Traps, up to his ears.
Yeah, just a stone.
And I saw that. I'm like, holy shit.
I have nothing compared to this.
Oh my God. Come on, Chris Farley. No. I got you. Good, I'm glad. Yeah, that's just like, we had Joel Dirks on here, and I remember when he grabbed
His forearms.
I shook his hand and I looked at his forearms. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. Those things are just glorious. Some of those strongman guys just, they're freaks.
When you think about the consistent training they do with, even like I know one of the things I love to watch is like the Brian Johnson grip contest all the time.
Yeah.
Like they just grabbing these blobs and they'll set a whole row up and guys will go like maybe a little over halfway, and then he'll even like I think Terry Hollins did this video together. Him and Terry just grabbing like paperweights.
Yeah.
Do you do any of that stuff? Like for you, do you care about forearm and now that grip strength is a big for you or not?
So grip isn't like farmer's frame, stuff like that, but like
Okay.
odd, like weird stuff. Like
You don't do the gorilla grip challenge?
No, I don't.
Okay.
We tried some of that stuff with Joel. That was humbling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you really have to train
It's
consistent on that.
my
I think.
fucking hands hurt. I had a motorcycle accident, so I had a shattered scaphoid and dislocated wrist in my left. But after doing that for like a week, I could barely like grab a cup of coffee. It was humbling. It was awesome, but yeah,
I
it's
think
pretty
I
tremendous.
think Nick tried to stay consistent with it too. He tried to do some of those 45s and do different components. But
Yeah.
unless you're like really training for it, it's one of those things you got to either make a day for it or try to do it at the very end.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I can't imagine going into that day and just working on grip. I'd be toast after 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, it's like there's a guy named Mike Burke that used to train with Shaw.
Okay.
Do you remember that?
I do. Yeah.
So he had like a rogue 10-minute YouTube video on him
Yeah.
once, and he was known for being able to pick 4 2x4 stacked together, full length, with one hand, and pick them up like that.
Yeah. I don't know if it was Joel told the story, maybe it was something I heard from Brian Shaw, but he's mentioned like, I think someone asked Brian Shaw one time, it might have been who's the strongest grip, and he said it was his training partner. Yeah. I think that's why he brought him in, because that's crazy about training. Sometimes we get so beat up in ourselves and so on. We try to concentrate on ourselves, but if you bring someone in that's way stronger than you are, like the day Joel's with us, like it gives you a lot of motivation to get your
Oh,
get
for
your stuff
sure.
going.
Well, especially he sat here and he grabbed 2 25-kilo plates like it was a sandwich.
Not even that, but when he grabbed the center of the 45 and lifted up to his fingertips,
Oh, yeah, I
and then
forgot
he started
about
throwing
that.
around like nothing. I was like, where, what is this?
Yeah. And he doesn't have big hands.
No,
No, his hands are smaller than yours. Way smaller.
I don't know
So,
if that.
no offense, Joel.
it's just-
Sorry.
It's crazy. So for you, do you know, if there's, is there anyone that you train with that is stronger than you, or do you meet up and train with once a month or something that kind of motivates you in that regard to like help you stay kind of on track? Or
So I always try and train with the strongest people as possible.
Yeah.
So like that's why like I'll go train with Tim and stuff like that.
Okay.
Just because he's so much more knowledgeable than I am.
Yes.
But trying to find someone locally that can
Yeah.
deadlift over 900 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of anyone.
Yeah. Far and few between.
Yeah.
I mean, Brad Kretsch used to, but that was 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And then a lot of that, I think you're talking about like Tim's coaching and advice and everything, and the techniques. Like that's huge. There's something different levers. Like your levers are way different than his. His technique.
Yeah, so technique
So
and
I think
training
Joel brought that up too. Like he was talking about training with Dave Awesome. He said Dave was like the very best at teaching you what's going to work for you is not going to work for him.
Yeah, he's
So-
huge on mechanics. Right?
Yeah, is that kind of what you found with yourself and
Oh
Tim
yeah.
as well?
Because especially with strongman, because the stuff is so like technique based, because it's so awkward, so weird to move
Yeah.
things. It's not just a barbell. Like I was helping someone today with cakes, and at first they barely got the cake off the floor.
Okay.
And then in like 15 minutes they got it over a yoke.
Yeah.
just by tweaking this, like putting your belt differently here, depending if you're tall, shorter,
It's interesting.
length.
With the with those kegs, are they filled with sand or water?
Both depends on how heavy you want to make them.
And then when you're lifting those, I mean, is it all sloshing around? Is that part of the trouble? Is it going back and forth?
Yeah.
So you gotta kind of keep it stable as you're moving the whole contraption around.
Yeah, so if you're doing like an overhead keg, like either move it fast or move it slow, because if you move it that like moderate, like if depending how much sand is in there, or I've even seen some where they just fill it with concrete.
Jesus.
So then one half is 200 pounds and the other half is empty.
Oh, what dicks.
Is that just the lazy way to do it?
That's so cruel.
Yeah, I know some local meets here. They used to have the I can't remember the name of it, but they'd have just a fundraiser, and the strongman competition. They'd have the overhead cake press, and some of the guys were not able to get over their head at all. The ones that were very technical, where they'd almost press probably with no weight with one arm, and then they'd somehow finagle and get the other one up. So it wasn't simultaneous. Is that what you teach? You try to get them at the same time to control the weight the whole
So
time?
the way I do keg, like I did a contest at the it was in July last year where we had a keg series overhead. I think it was like 5 or 6 kegs in a row.
Yeah.
And I was competing against a friend of mine who was also in the heavyweight class.
Okay.
And his axle press is 50 pounds more than mine overhead.
Wow.
But I beat him on the kegs because just that technique and efficiency going through them all. Yeah. So I'll actually like lap it kind of here and just throw it overhead like this.
Yeah.
Come to the press.
Okay. That's like, that's all technique, because you're almost using the weight inside as...
Using it against itself like a pendulum, swinging it, getting it up. Yeah, that
And
makes
then
sense.
if it is too heavy to press, in that like you can just all at once, like you have that sitting right here on your shoulder. So all you got to do is
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, that makes sense.
versus trying to like roll it up like this and doing one of those with it.
Yeah. So that's a huge point of it too.
We
How
need to go
about
down there and play.
what's that?
So we need to go down there and play.
Yeah, we'll
Get
have
our ass
to,
kicked, but I want to go play.
maybe a day when we're all done
Saturdays,
training for
right?
competition. We could mosey on down there and embarrass ourselves with you.
Feel free to.
How about, like, do you guys, is there any implementation of the Conan's wheel or anything where you're really getting a lot of cardio in, or even like, what you call it the axle when you're walking back and forth with that component?
Yeah, I have a Conan's wheel in my backyard too right now, so we can always play with.
That's awesome.
Does your lawn just have contraptions of awesomeness everywhere?
Between the four-wheelers and all
When people
that.
drive by, what do you drive?
I have
Honda Civic? No, I'm just kidding.
I have a Chevy.
Silverado?
Nope, Suburban.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so basically someone drives by and sees a big-ass truck and a bunch of cool shit in the lawn. That's a man's house.
So I actually have wagon wheels and a 2.5-inch axle in the back right now.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, I just have
You could
shit in my truck all
have
the
some
time.
whiskey and deadlifts tonight.
Yes. I mean, we've already had a few. Might as well.
How about the stones? Do you like, is that something you're good at, or do you not
So
like?
I really do like the stones.
Yeah.
That's the one event that still kind of gets in my head, to be honest,
it?
because I tore my bicep a few years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And like I didn't even tear it doing stones, but it's that one event that still
Tweaked it?
that just gets in my head. So it just has that. It's like
And that's almost more form than what I've been taught. Because the people that were doing it was at least the biggest portion you can really get to tear is from the initial liftoff, right?
Yeah.
That if you don't,
Probably going from here
sitting
to...
around everything's tight.
yeah. So the most likely chance of tearing a bicep is a really heavy like. It's not necessarily the concentric phase. It's like if it would go like this.
Yeah.
That's why you see guys with that over under grip when they're coming up and starting to do one of these. It goes like that.
Goes out.
So that's how I tore mine. Was in a deadlift.
Oh,
So
really?
it's kind
Is that still your underhand then?
No, I
switched
pull
it?
the grip now.
Oh, really? Oh, so over?
Yep.
Okay. I suppose, yeah, in strongman, you can most times in comp,
You don't
use
hook
straps,
it, do
right?
you?
No, I always use straps and strongman.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Now, the one thing that it's getting, it seems like the strongmen are getting more aesthetically better looking in shape, right? They may have more cardio. So for you, like some of the events,
Not like
it looks like
Pujanowski.
no, not to that would be, yeah. But it looks like you're getting quite a bit of cardio involved in some of these different medleys, right? So do you implement any type of cardio along with just your normal training? So when it comes to the actual meet, no matter what you're doing, you can go for much longer than hopefully anyone else can, or is that not kind of?
Yep. So again, it depends that you're just basically trying to specialize for whatever events you have in the contest.
Yeah.
So like you gotta remember like my view on conditioning for strongman is you don't necessarily have to be the most conditioned strongman there. you just have to be able to go for the full 60 seconds.
Yeah.
If I die at 62 seconds, fine.
Yeah. Your output just has to be
Yep.
crazy for that time duration, right?
Yeah.
Yep, so that's how I view a lot of stuff. And then if you, like, like most of my cardio will be more like interval stuff like that.
Yeah.
So after the event, you can just get back quicker.
So you're not training for something on 70, 75 seconds. You're keeping it at that 16. That's all you care about.
Half the time I'll do like 20, 30 seconds on,
Just for that
20, 30
build-up
seconds
sprint.
off. Like
Okay.
if you have like a rower,
Yeah.
skier, or
Okay.
something like that, it works real well for conditioning.
So because a lot of, like, let's say that, and then when you're doing the stones, I mean, that seems to get a lot of prep to do the stones, where you put the tacky on,
Yep.
or you have the forearm. Like, what do you use when you're doing those?
So yeah, so I have those like leather
Sleeve?
sleeves that you go in your
Okay.
forearms because it protects your skin a little bit more.
Sure.
And then I think the tacky actually sticks to the leather better.
Okay.
Because if you start sweating, like that tacky can come off too.
Oh, okay.
So you have a lot of guys that will only use like their bare skin.
Yeah.
If they want to say they're manlier than me, that's fine with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I've seen, like, don't quote me if I'm wrong, but is it like sometimes I've seen guys like, it looks like duct tape backwards.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm like, what the hell's on their arms? And you look and like, it's fucking duct tape.
It's probably what NFL guys use for the jerseys and look at tackle. And then with that, you know, being that's one of the big events, it seems like always, sometimes it's like the finishing one where the guys, you know, win or excel to the next competition. Are you a big front squatter to carry over? I heard some guys love front squatting because it carries over to the stones a lot. Or is that not something that matters to you because it's not an actual event?
So I know a lot of people that do front squat a lot.
Yeah, but it's not you.
I don't personally front squat a lot
Okay.
because the way, like when you watch me do a front squat, it's awkward. Like I'd rather do like a SSB bar, like block squat or something like
Oh,
that.
okay. Well, especially when
More.
if you don't have the flexibility to get under the bar properly, you're gonna fucking hurts. What about like Zercher squats? Is that a variation any of you guys do?
Yeah, so I'll include those if I have like a Conan's wheel coming up.
Okay.
And just to explain it to people that are listening, I'm sure they do know if they don't. The Zercher squats are when you're lifting with the barbell between your elbows, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And then with any other variations, are you a big proponent of like the Anderson squats? You're going from like 90 and above at a stalemate, or do anything different than a regular squat or SSB bar squat that you like? Or
Most of my squatting is done just with a Texas squat bar or a SSB bar. Most of it.
let me ask you this: I was training Sarah a week or two ago, and in her training, you had her doing. I don't want to give your tips away, but you had her doing the marching squats with that bar. Now, I funny enough, I saw Louis talking about he has his athletes do that with a belt squat where they're
Oh, yeah.
the same component.
Yep.
And I thought, okay, that carries over to strongman, especially if you're doing like a Conan 3 or something where like you've got to have the weight on your body. But what is that what you're using it for, or is there anything particular why that is effective?
So I include those for a couple reasons. Like I'm testing out to see if that can carry over to yoke.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because if you do them for more of a time, you're not going as heavy as you would with a yoke, so it's
Yes.
going to be easier to recover from.
Yeah.
You're going to have longer time retention to work on bracing, breathing, all those other things, and then just general QL hip, strength right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Okay. Good to know. It was, I mean, I did it with her, and oh my gosh, it wasn't taxing. It was, you guys got to try it sometime. It'll blow
I'm
you-
down.
blow
Let's
you
do
away.
it. I squat on Tuesday.
Yeah, you do
Well, I
have
think
to.
anything you can do with. I think people. I know we've talked about this numerous times. Like people might look at Ada and stuff like that and be like, "Yeah, there's no carryover, maybe." But he had 3 reasons why. That's the biggest point. So all of a sudden, if it gives a little variation, that athlete makes them better at something, and like you said, it's not as taxing. They can recover. I think. I hear that all the time. Like, well, I can't squat today. Do this heavy. I'm like, hold the fucking phone. If this is going on, let's find something else. So live to train tomorrow, right? So, and honestly, it's probably not as mentally taxing either.
Yep.
Right. So,
Because I think, in my experience, for me, like yoke is one of the most like taxing things for me to do.
I figured that out the hard way.
Like-
I'm like, man, why am I so tired? Oh yeah, I did a fucking yoke carry yesterday.
You do
it
like
just
a
crashes your
800,
system.
900-pound yoke, and you're toast for
Yeah.
a long time.
Yeah.
Well, even I think one of the fun things, just watch from the outside, is the variation you can create and have fun with when it comes to strongman training, because there are so many different events.
Yeah.
Like that march squat, you created like that's great just to carry over, like, whether it's like you said for that event or even anything different. Is that something you enjoy doing? Is finding different things that maybe were around 50 years ago, but now you're bringing back or something new to the training?
Well, it's just one of those cool things that you just see like a bar and you're trying to like think of all these different ways, like how to not necessarily simulate an event, but how to like make that event better.
Yeah.
Like especially with the SSB bar, and now you're talking like and all the upper back strength that you have to go to hold yourself up too. So that could be like a fourth reason right there. Of why that could be helpful.
And that is pretty amazing too when you think about like the World Strongest Man, for instance, where you have all these different people training in all these different countries. Whether they've got to be doing some similar stuff, but a lot of different, but obviously volume and this and that, but just the different secrets they're using to mentally give them the confidence to come into that event. It's got to be pretty cool to see.
All the secrets are in Russia, probably.
They have secrets?
What? I thought, didn't Icarus just exploit all those secrets?
They probably made new ones.
How are they doing the Olympics this year?
Wait, weren't they in the Olympics as like a different country?
Yeah, that's why.
What was that? Anyways.
So then now with you also, how long have you been coaching athletes for?
So I started coaching last summer.
Okay.
Because coaching was never something like I intended to try and grow as much as possible.
Yeah.
Because like I want to be known as a strongman competitor myself, and I want to be known as a chiropractor.
Gotcha.
Like coaching wasn't something that I have a huge passion for. I love helping others, but I knew like it wasn't what I wanted to do for a living.
Okay.
That's why I'm in chiropractic school. And then I had a few friends come to me last summer asking for help for a contest. I'm like, sure. So I helped them, and now I think I got 6 people doing the contest in February.
Okay. Very cool. And is that something that it's all strongman competition, or is it powerlifting as well?
So I'll do either or, depending on
And
which
then with
one.
your training on that, are you are you hands-on? Are you watching every rep? Are you having them send you videos? How do you kind of coach through that yourself and stuff?
So all the programming is done online, like a normal online programming, and then preferably videos.
Yeah.
Which is harder to get than I'm sure a lot of people realize.
No, absolutely, yeah. And then do you also go with like nutrition guidelines, or you leave that to someone else?
I don't usually get a whole lot into the nutrition aspect because, again, like it's strongman powerlifting. So as long as you're performing well and you make your weight class, those are the 2 biggest things. If you have questions, I've with the bodybuilding shows and schooling I've done, I know a thing or two.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. And then with that, like your schooling, you just graduated from chiropractic school? Or?
Yep.
Okay. And have you also attributed that knowledge to some of your athletes and people as well? Or do you have to wait to your license for all that, or how does that work?
Yeah, so right now I'm in the process of opening my own clinic that'll be located north of Minneapolis.
Gotcha.
Hopefully be open up this spring, summer.
That's awesome.
So everyone keep your eye out for that.
Yeah.
It's called Iron Range Chiropractic.
We already have
I like that.
Wow, we can do the live iron huddle at the iron. Any thoughts on maybe doing a gym as well, or not really sure yet?
Yep. So there's also going to be a gym in the same facility as well. It's going to be focused strongman powerlifting.
That's a great idea, because you think about like over at the Vikings' new operation they have the training house, where I feel like they have all of that inside the gym as well as all the recoveries and the chiropractic, all that stuff together.
Yeah.
So it's almost like another step in technology where we're going with all that.
Yeah. So it definitely helps with education there, because when you have clients, no one's going to be able to train pain-free, but you're trying to minimize your injuries as much as possible.
Absolutely.
So when people are starting, when I have people starting to like, well, this is starting to ache, well, now I can like get a head start on that. Because how often do you have someone like, oh, my shoulder's been bothering me? How often is this? I'm like, how long has this been going on? Oh, like 6 months.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking yeah.
But that's
the
it happens
worst.
a lot. There's people like they just either they don't want to admit it to others, or they don't want to admit it themselves. And they hope it goes away, because hopefully a lot of people, they don't want to stop training. Yeah. But at some point, like you said, you accept it way too late.
Well, that's something, even if you have that discussion, that's something I tell people right away in my gym, like, hey, especially if they're deconditioned, I'm like, you're like an old 70s muscle car that hasn't been started up in a while.
Yeah.
We gotta do some things before you go, right? You can't just pull her out of the garage and hit the gas and think she's gonna go. And
Unless it's a Ford.
yeah, no, come on. But no, that is something, I don't know what it is in the human condition that we just don't want to talk about injuries, or we don't want to.
Because everyone wants to feel like they're invincible.
Yeah. It's a hard pill to swallow, especially as a coach when all you want to do is help people.
But
it's getting better. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of those nice things about being their coach too, is you can see when training's not going as well. And then if you gotta yell at them, be like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And then you can just yell at them and get the answer and then fix it.
Yeah.
That sounds good. I want to be a coach. So then, how do you deal with that when people are struggling or they're having? Have you ever had a point where people are either questioning themselves in the training or questioning you in the training? If so, how do you overcome that besides just yelling at this? Maybe it is just fight through this right now and you'll get to that point.
So it depends on the person. You know, some people need to be yelled at. Some people need to be
Absolutely.
Here's the piece of candy.
Yes.
Come on, here's a piece of candy.
Here's a
Do you have anyone you have to put in timeout?
Yeah.
I do have one that I've yelled at a few times.
I have one, she starts freaking out and then she'll throw a weight down because she missed it. That's a lightweight. She'll look at me. I'm like, take that fucking sandbag, walk around the building. She's like, fine. And then she comes back and she hits the weight. She's like, I hate you. Because it just has her calm down.
I hate you, but I love you.
Yeah. It's like, thank you. Yeah. She knows who she is. Yeah.
So then, with the whole structure as far as like this national strongman competition you're going to, let's say you do really well here. I guess what are the steps that you would eventually take to make it on the stage of a world's strongest man competitor to get to that point? Do you know what those steps are at all? Or?
So in the U.S., there's two different strongman nationals.
Okay.
There's strongman corporation nationals, which you can win your pro card at.
Okay.
And then there's USS, United States Strongman Nationals.
Okay.
And then the winners of that, I think last year they sent one person to the Arnold, Brazil.
Oh, wow.
And then they sent two guys to Strongman Champions League in Finland.
Okay.
So like the U.S. pro card strongman system is only a U.S. thing.
Okay.
Oh,
Like
okay.
there's no such thing as pro cards anywhere else.
Okay.
So you don't even necessarily have to be a pro by terms to make it to World's Strongest Man.
So just winning different events then?
You just have to
Yeah.
win an event to qualify for a Giants Live event, and then if you
Yeah.
do well at Giants Live event, you
Yeah.
get an invite to Worlds.
And
Gotcha.
Giants Live is basically just a different company putting on different events, right?
Yep. So that's the same company that puts on World's Strongest Man.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Oh, it is the same. I didn't realize that. Okay. So I thought Brian Shaw was just talking about he's going to be competing at coming up, right? At a couple of those.
Well, I think Mr. Brian, I think they're all getting ready for Arnold right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe it's after that.
Yeah.
Well, at least they have different events, though, multiple events that are fun to watch. I think was it watching Thor's run last year where he
I won everything.
England's, Arnold's, and the World's Strongest Man, right?
Yeah, he was. Pretty sure he's the first one to ever win the Arnold, Europe's Strongest Man, and World's Strongest Man in the same year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like just dominating.
Yeah, that was the thing too. It was, he did his huge deadlift, just kick everything off at the Arnold, and then seeing Ryan Shaw coming up. I think all of us were kind of hoping he would, as Americans, take it back.
I know I was.
Yeah.
And he just looked injured, but hopefully he's able to rebound. And it looks like he trains his tail off like always, so that'd be fun to watch.
On his Instagram, he's calling it out. He's doing the World Deadlift Championships in July.
Well, that's awesome. Wow. So is that just that event only, like a Giants Live, or what is that? The World?
So the World Deadlift Championships, it's a Giants Live event.
Okay.
But so you can do the whole event if you qualified for it, or you can just sign up for the deadlift only if you qualify for it. I'm pretty sure that's how that works.
Yeah.
So you have to qualify for that.
Yeah. So what's your goal in all this? I mean, what do you want to hopefully keep driving for? What's your
So my goal is, in the next 2 years, I want to get invited to a professional strongman event, whether that's Strongman Champions League, wherever it is. And then my goal would be in the next 3 or 4 years to make it to Worlds.
nice? Okay.
How
That'd be
old are you?
awesome.
29.
Oh, yeah, a lot of time.
That's obviously doable with, Dave Lawson being from Edina. The Gillingham brothers right here. There's a lot of potential. Do you ever get together with those guys out at Jackal's Gym or not? Or?
Always want to go to Jackal's Gym and train with
yeah.
Brad and
Yeah.
Carl and stuff like
And
that.
those guys, we said 3 of those brothers, they have
Dude, I remember seeing the
top
one-
5
yeah, they're crazy.
alone.
Yep.
And I think their old man being an old Packer guard for a lot of years too, like that whole family just storied strength. How great would you come out of that womb, you can't be nothing but strong.
His wife, the mom, I would not want to see that grocery bill growing up, because all those brothers are just so goddamn big.
Yeah.
I met one of them. He went to college with one of my mentors, and he is just all man.
But I think Brad too on his
Brad's the
Instagram.
one I met, yeah.
Yeah, he still squats and deadlifts pretty quite a bit, if I remember.
I think he won USAPL Nationals a year or two ago for his age bracket.
That's in
he's
there,
got
yeah.
close to 50 maybe. I don't know.
He's
Yeah.
his 40s.
He's got to be, and to hold strength that long is
Yeah.
pretty
And then
remarkable.
whether or not you get a pro card, you can still make it to like these events you're saying, right? Depending on which route you go.
Yep.
Okay. And then they have a lightweight strongman competition, heavyweight. I mean, I know we never see the lightweights, but I've heard it's there,
So
right?
they have like a world strongest man for 231s.
Oh, they do. Okay.
I think and under 200 pounds too.
Oh, really? Why don't we hear about this?
Just nobody cares. Sadly, I mean, it's great for them.
You need to
but-
gain some weight, Nick.
Yeah. 800, 900 pound deadlift. I'd rather watch that.
Yeah, let's give them the Duck Donuts diet.
Yeah,
You guys-
I know I ate 3 of them, I feel fat.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Well, and then USS, like I did a contest in Fargo about a month ago, a little over a month ago.
Yeah.
And the winner of that got an invite to the Arnold, South Africa.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Why wouldn't they just invite him to the one in? Is the one in Ohio the biggest of all?
Yep, the biggest, heaviest. So there's a whole different qualification.
That's like the Super Bowl,
Yeah,
right? In that world,
that's the
correct?
heaviest contest
That's like
in the world.
that's the big dog one, right?
So these
Okay.
other countries kind of said, "Well,
We got 5 minutes recorded there.
yeah."
All right, we're good.
And we're back. Well, it's good that we talked about nothing.
Oh no, it's someone. Yeah, we're good.
Then do you have? So what, with like there are some women competitors, right?
Yep.
And like, what's their end goal? Do they have a women's strongest man competition? Like, how does? I know Sarah's really kicking ass in that, but like, what's the end goal of that right
Yeah,
now?
so there's a worlds, there's
There is.
worlds for them too.
Oh, very cool.
And it was this past fall in like somewhere in Europe. I forgot
Gotcha.
what country it was.
So that'd be great to travel too. And do you know? I guess we'll find out hopefully when you get there. But like, do they pay for your travel? Do they sponsor you for that, or is it all on your own? Like, I wonder how that works.
So I think for some of those like Strongman Champions Leagues, some of them get stipends and stuff like that for like
Gotcha.
food and travel while you're there.
Okay.
But it's like the USS, like the contest I did, the winner, I got second in that. So
Okay.
so close.
That close, yeah.
That close.
Now, was it close of points? You're pretty far off from the top dog.
There was a pro from Colorado. which-
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and I was I think like 3 or 4 points behind him.
Gotcha.
Right there.
Yeah, so like they handed him a what was it, like a $1,500 check to buy a plane ticket.
Oh well, that's cool.
You know?
Have you ever considered, like I think, I was listening to, or watching Martine's Listens video recently, he's talking about his journey, and one of the ones he did where they're at a strongman competition out on like Malibu Beach or something right there in LA, and Arnold's gonna be putting it on himself, you know, and he was able to just go sign up for that one. Have you tried about like maybe going somewhere to get noticed somewhere else with all your big numbers, maybe to get more attention or not? Or,
Yeah, so I'm lucky enough that I have a sponsor that helps with my traveling.
and who's that?
That's a Contraband Sports.
Contraband,
Yep.
okay.
So like without them, I went to nationals last year.
Awesome.
I went to Fargo. I won't be going to South Carolina in
Yeah.
February. So I'm trying to travel for these bigger contests
Yeah.
now to try and.
And so Contraband's obviously helping you out a ton because I imagine going to all these events and then Strongman probably isn't full of lucrative winnings right now until you get to a certain point.
Nope, not at all. Yeah, so I'm very lucky to be able to have them.
And are you using their products only, or do you have any other ones that you really like believe in, or would like, you know, wrist straps or knee straps? Or anything
Yeah, so
like that? Or
I've
you-
only used Contraband wraps for 3 years now.
Okay,
So I think every wrist wrap, knee wrap that I use is from them.
very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, they seem to have a really good stronghold on a lot of the strongman athletes here locally.
Yeah, I think
Like,
Joel works them too.
Joel,
pretty
yeah,
good.
Joel does. There's a few.
You
Yeah.
got a good mark for.
I think Doug Staley does too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Doug does, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, we have both those guys on too, and they're good. A lot of good information.
Yeah, and the company's only like 4 years old.
Yeah.
So they're still,
No, Florida, is that right?
yep, out of Florida. Yeah, and the dude, the guy that owns it just grinds constantly too.
Yeah.
Like his warehouse is his house.
Really?
He'll like keep buying a bigger house or a bigger
Yeah.
apartment to store all the stuff.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
I like
say
people.
that.
I like people who
Yeah.
just fucking grind.
Yeah,
I
I think
respect that.
it's always Stan Effort. He talked about starting his first full bits on his trunk. He pretty much, you know, that's how you do that.
I know quite a few gym owners who have slept in their gyms,
Yeah.
so it's definitely not out of the norm. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys have any questions at all, Nick or Tyler? Anything else you guys had in your mind? You got a future world's first.
I want to talk about his fucking nutrition.
Sure.
Yes.
So run me through a day.
So right now, basically, it's like most of the time I'll just track macros for the day.
Okay.
And I do that not because I want to overeat, because I don't want to undereat.
Yeah.
Like I'm to the
Oh, you're
point-
not trying to get a six pack and look pretty?
if I just eat for hunger now at this point, like I'll eat twice a day.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just because you've been trying to get bigger for a couple years, like,
Yeah.
so like it's like 625 grams of carbs, like 125 grams of fat, and 300 grams of protein a day.
Okay.
So are you close to 10,000 calories a day right now, or where are you
it's,
at?
it's like 5.
Oh, you been?
Because a lot of times, like, you want to get bigger, but you don't want to get big too fast.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
that's
it's
where
a
you have a
slow
hard
progression.
time keeping up with it.
Yep.
So like, if you can like gain 10, 15 pounds and maintain there for a couple months, and then keep going up, I think that's a little bit healthier way.
Yeah.
Trying to put 50 pounds on in a year.
Do you have a goal weight that you want to get to, let's say, the next 3 years? Or?
About 330, 340, I think.
Sure.
Okay.
Otherwise, I don't want to say that I follow like a vertical diet,
Yeah.
but it's a lot of the same foods.
Well, it's so simple.
That's
it's,
it. Like when it comes to eating, it's simple. You know, rice is cheap as shit.
Yeah.
So like, I'm gonna eat food that are cheaper right now.
Bunch of beef, chicken,
Yeah.
you know, simple veggies. Yeah, something like that. That's, I mean, we're all about the vertical diet. I know right now we're all trying other, well, I am anyways, but it is just one of those things where people try to, well, how many diets are there out there? I think I talked to someone, and if you look it up in the internet, there's like 700 or some crazy shit. At the end of the day, just eat good food. And then what works for you, whether it's keto, whatever, vertical,
Like
just,
Stan says, we can adhere to is the
Horizontal.
best.
what's that?
Whatever you can adhere to is most important.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And once, if it works, stick to it. Yeah.
And like you said, the simplicity of kind of staying on the vertical diet for you, especially trying to gain weight and good weight, whether it's 5-10 pounds a year, whatever, that's a huge battle itself. Because, like you said, you could go do a few other things and put that weight on in no time, but to do it methodically with your strength and have like the recovery for you. How does recovery go for you? Because I mean, you're lifting. I'm guessing you have like Saturdays your huge event day.
Yep.
So like, how the hell do you sleep Saturday night and Sunday? Like, are you just beat up as can be Sunday,
I sleep a lot.
Yeah, I sleep a lot.
Like when it comes to like businesses, like you have to grind and stuff like that. But for like strength sports, grinding doesn't help you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's not a grinding sport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
So are you like a
just
big pizza guy Saturday night after you
Oh, I
guys?
love pizza. You would be surprised how many Pizza Hut points I have right now.
You don't even read any books.
So wait, what the hell, man? Why don't you get a pizza? Yeah. We brought donuts.
Yeah, that's great. That's yeah. So have you done any of those? I know it's really big right now too, with everybody doing their crazy, calorie challenges, food challenges. Have you ever got together the strongman guys you train with and just see, for the heck of it? Yeah, I know, because Brian always talks about he would force feed himself, and he'd look at the food like it would be him going into a deadlift. He would approach it like he'd get up and walk back and forth and sit down and eat, because he had to force himself to get to a certain weight to be where he is today. Do you kind of take the same approach? You take it more slowly.
So I eat a lot of my food at night.
You do.
Bulk
Okay.
of calories.
A lot of after your training, I imagine.
Yeah, a lot after
Okay.
training before I go to sleep.
And
A
then
lot of
days
it's
that
at
you,
night.
what's that?
A lot of it's at night just because
Okay.
you get so full that
Yeah.
I couldn't go and deadlift after
Oh, yeah.
eating all that.
So do you have, that's a good point too, still feeling your mobility, that you're not all stuffed up and you're bloated in your
Yeah.
stomach. Do you have, on your off days then, are you pretty much more cleaner, I guess, at all on your, how many off days do you take in a week, I should ask?
So I take I train five days a week. And then on my off days, one thing that I do that I got from a friend of mine is if I'm not trying to push my body weight as much as possible,
Yeah.
I'll actually fast part of the off days.
Sure.
Or wait until I'm hungry.
Sure.
Because then it kind of gives your digestion system a break too.
Absolutely.
So then the next day you're going to be a little bit more, you're going to be a little hungrier. And
Yeah.
it's just like with inflammation and all
Yeah.
that stuff, it helps too, just giving your body a break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And force feeding like that a couple
Yeah.
times a week.
With
Yeah, that makes sense.
With that, do you ever train on a fasted body?
I have in the past.
Yeah.
I don't anymore.
Don't. Okay. That's just fascinating because we did today. I did. We podcasted last night. It was the last night about 6. We went and we trained this morning. I didn't have anything to eat. We squatted this morning. So it's like I was happy that I got what I got.
Yeah, right.
Just for that energy, it was great. But and for you then, what's one of your favorite besides pizza? What's your favorite cheat meal? Is it ice cream? Is it something you really just look forward to after a long day? Is there
Usually
something
it's always pizza.
deep dish,
a stuffed
supreme,
crust.
stuffed crust,
deep
man.
dish.
We should forget the losing weight and just go be strong.
Yeah, fuck it, man.
That's what Joel said. You got to get horizontal.
That's right.
I think after he said that, I ate like a whole thing of Ben and Jerry's.
Every time I
after that.
eat shit, I'm like horizontal. It's fine.
I'll be okay tomorrow.
It's fine. I want to get strong.
But yeah, like a stuffed crust pizza and then
Yeah.
a pint of Ben & Jerry's and like a 6-pack of beer.
Oh god, that sounds like heaven.
Speaking of alcohol, so this is interesting. Brad, I don't want you to give away all your secrets, but I know that when you have cut weight in the past, you've used alcohol for a very specific reason.
Yeah, so for when you're saying, just in case everyone's know, like we're talking about like cutting water weight.
Correct. Yep.
Like if you got cut whatever it is to get your weight class. Like I think the biggest cut I've helped someone with so far is they went from, what was it, 262 to 240 and back.
In how long of a time period?
So they lost all the weight in less than 20 hours,
Holy shit.
and then they put it all back on in 12.
And
And they hit PRs the next day.
Wow. And they didn't go to the hospital and stuff?
Nope.
Okay. So what's the trick with the alcohol you were mentioning?
So the
What's that?
alcohol, like a light beer or two,
A beer or two?
like a light beer.
A light beer, okay.
Yep. Or like 2 shots of your favorite, whatever it is.
Okay.
That's usually the last thing I'll have them drink.
Okay.
The day before their weigh-ins.
Okay.
Because you know, if you think about what the effects of alcohol are.
Yeah.
On your
yeah.
body, because like you start drinking and you're peeing constantly, right?
Yep.
So we're trying to trick, like invoke that same mechanism at the start of the water cut.
So if their weigh-in is a Friday at 6 p.m., is that the last thing they're eating or drinking? Is that beer or two or the 2 shots on like a Wednesday night at 9? How do you kind of orchestrate
So
that?
depending how much it is, it's usually about 12 to 24 hours before weigh-ins.
Okay.
Yep. And like one of the things I do is I do backloading for everything there.
Okay.
So I don't taper it down throughout the week. I actually do the opposite. So like if you're weighing in Friday morning, on Wednesday, you're going to be pounding 3 to 4 gallons of water, like 15 to 20 grams of salt. So otherwise, you have a lot of people that start tapering their salt on Monday and feel like shit the entire week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my goal is to have you down water in the shortest period if possible.
Makes sense. That way too, you're not depleting,
And are
as
they
much out of the
doing-
system.
Are they doing the alcohol just that one night?
So usually if you say weigh-ins are on Friday, you cut water on Thursday anywhere from 9 a.m. to noon.
Okay.
Then I usually have them drink a gallon or 2 of water that morning.
Okay.
And the last thing you drink is that.
Interesting.
No, I like it. I just think of the story with Ronnie Coleman the night before, first time he wore
The vodka.
Yeah, you're drinking vodka and eating pizza. And, oh, this is pretty good, man.
And didn't they say he looked the best on stage?
Yeah, he said the next day they're like, "What the fuck happened?" That story is great to hear. Who's the one that he did that with?
I can't remember. the
I
guy's
don't know
name.
the bodybuilding world.
I forget. It was one of those.
It's on Netflix.
Kevin
Yeah,
Brown or
yeah.
like-
Yeah, it was a great way how he put it. It was
guys,
cool.
Yeah.
But
And you said this individual ended up getting all PRs in their meet
Yeah,
day as well.
I think he hit a squat and a deadlift PR, and a total PR.
And then so how do you, so they weigh in, let's say Friday morning, whatever it was, right? And then they get to 242, whatever they weigh in at. What are you instructing them to eat after that before they go and lift the next day? Is there anything they want, or how do you pull them off of that?
So
Weight
the
loss.
most important thing is just the water and the electrolytes to get in. And so that's usually the first thing I want to do is start getting more salt, water, electrolytes in you.
Gotcha.
If you know someone with an IV, that does help, but it's not necessarily. The only thing an IV will do is get you there faster.
Yeah.
I mean, but if you have 24 hours, like your digestion system works pretty well that it can do it too.
Are you proponent of Pedialyte or just?
Yep, Pedialyte.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'll mix like Pedialyte with like extra salt in it. And,
Mediterranean sea salt or any type of table salt?
pink Himalayan salt.
Pink, here we go.
There you go.
There you go.
Yep. So yeah, and the one thing that everyone needs to stop doing is using distilled water
Why
for
is
the
that?
water cuts, because distilled water, the way that works is it pulls out the minerals, like it pulls everything out.
Okay.
And so that's going to start messing with your electrolyte balance.
Yeah.
So we don't want to mess with that electrolyte balance. We just want to flush everything out in the same ratios.
So you want well water only?
So I would just whatever water, just not distilled water. Yep.
Gotcha.
Straight out of the faucet.
Yep.
How many people have you experienced with, or have you done this with?
The last couple of years, I think like a dozen.
Oh wow, and have all pretty good results. Do they want to stick to it? I guess. Or
They've all made weight their first try.
Okay.
So I'd say that's pretty good.
That's really good. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to give that a shot.
That'd be fun to try.
Some weightlifters need to make weight. Let's do this.
It's a good reason to drink booze.
I was gonna say, yeah, you can't go wrong with that.
And that's all it is 2 shots or a beer too.
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
So
It's
that's
not
just
out of
one
dries you out.
component of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, trying to block some of those hormones.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
And then obviously, if you have a 2-hour weigh-in, it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this is strictly what I do for someone who has a 24-hour weigh-in.
Okay. Yeah, weightlifting wouldn't work too well.
So it's the same concept, but you have to do a smaller scale.
Yeah.
Because you can only take out what you can put back in
For sure.
2 hours.
Yeah.
And do you use that for yourself, or you don't have to weigh in obviously for the strongman stuff? Doesn't matter. Is it 285 and above, or how does that work for the strongman weights?
So like strongman, usually most of the time it's just an open class.
Okay.
So unless some at nationals they have like weight classes like powerlifting does too. So I don't cut a whole lot for strongman like I used to for powerlifting weights.
And then for you individually, do you have your own coach as well for strongman, or is it kind of you're just doing stuff on your own right now?
So I do my own programming, but like I said before, I'm surrounded by people I can bounce ideas off of all the time on what I should be doing.
Gotcha.
Yes, you got a good support system.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Which is
a lot of
key in
people
that
I've learned
sport,
from.
yeah. You got to reach out to those individuals, either have them train with you or vice versa, and have that different.
Especially when you train with a bunch of people who are coaches or have coached, you're better. I think you're better off doing that rather than have not saying having a specific coach is bad, but if you have like today when we were lifting, we had 5 of us training, but we're all coaches. That's awesome.
Great.
Like that, rather than maybe just having one person's point of view, right? I think that can help some athletes tremendously.
Well, and intact with that, I think the important thing is putting your ego aside and knowing that, like, you may be training with someone who has different philosophies, techniques, strengths, but a lot of times you may be talking about something different, yet we're all have the same end point and goal and meaning, right? Like talking about the bench press today. James is talking about how he perceives when he's pressing all the strength coming through his pinkies. And I was mentioning, like, when we were benching that one day, and you had just mentioned push through your elbows. For whatever reason, that just stuck with me and clicked. And now when I bench, I'm just always pushing through my elbows, but like the same thing is that you're still hitting your lat, all that connects. So a lot of it, like Bob always talks about his Olympic lifting days, about throwing your knees back. Like just some certain turn can click with you and you're off.
Yeah.
Like when I bench, I think about pushing through my scaps.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
So it's just every person's, has different.
Yeah, the best cue is the one that works.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're all trying to get the same effect with all of them, but like you said, different cues are going to connect with different people.
Yep.
I remember I had an athlete. I can't remember what the hell I was trying to get her to do, and it was months. And I'm like, man, what's going on? And Bob literally goes, "Why don't you try this, man?" And all of a sudden, that one time, and it clicked. I'm like, God damn it!
I told you that.
Yeah, that's literally like, that's what I meant. And she's like, oh, well, what he said worked. I'm like, whatever. But as a coach, you have to put that aside and be like, all right, that works. So let's put that in the tool belt and I'll use it next time. Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I just think it's the walk he has. You just bound to believe whatever he says.
No, man, it's that hair.
Or the big gulps.
Yeah, the big gulps.
No, this has been awesome. Thank you for coming around. I'm trying to think if there's anything else you guys got.
No, I think the biggest thing is the end on a note is kind of, you talked about you wanted to go to world level and everything. So I always kind of like to see beyond that, you kind of know what let's say in the next 5 years you make it to worlds, you kind of have like an end goal because you want to open a business. I mean, that's a lot of cool, big life decisions. So, I mean, you just kind of want to go through all that a little bit.
Yeah, so my end goal there is to compete at the highest level that I can achieve.
Yeah.
Like not taking risks that I'm not willing to take to get there.
Yeah.
And then the long-term goal is to keep with my practice in the gym.
Okay.
And then once I can't compete at that level, just get back to the sport.
Good.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So right now, I tried to ask this earlier. Where do you train at? Where is beside your house and Tim's house, like, do you have a place you go to with either the strongman you train at? Where's your stable?
Yep, so I train right now at South Side.
Okay. That's in Burnsville, Minnesota?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have a bunch of strongman equipment there, powerlifting, we basically have almost anything you need there.
Yeah, it's a big space too. I know I've been there for a few powerlifting meets, and they have a lot of different areas. They have the field turf in the one spot, right? A lot for your medleys you guys are doing and whatnot.
Events for the yoke, farmers, frame, carries what you gotta do.
That's a pretty old school place too, right? Kind of just
Super cool.
Yeah, and then there's a separate room that has two monos, a combo rack, another rack, 3 bench presses, and two deadlift platforms. A separate room all right there too.
Probably nothing it doesn't have at this point. It's pretty cool. And what's the? It's probably great, but like, I know when you're with a group of people, whether you're by yourself or everything, the most important thing in training is being in an environment that you're just you can live off the energy, right?
Yep.
And sometimes it's different when you need to seclude this, but is that kind of what Southside has as well? You're there, just a bunch of energy feeding off each other in that environment?
So that's one of like the biggest things that has contributed a lot.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with training, like programming training.
Okay.
Is like I'm convinced that you're the product of the 5 closest people around you.
Yeah.
So be careful who those 5 people are.
Sounds like a great book. You should write that too.
So if there's someone that's around you that's not helping you, or it's not helping your mental state, like if you've tried and if you need to do what you need to do for you.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think your best gyms, doesn't even matter if it's a group of 50-year-old women who are just jazzercising. If they're fucking killing it, having fun, it's all about atmosphere.
Yep.
Because then your mental state's gonna be better, your performance is gonna be better. I think your best gyms are just that. Like, take all the other bullshit away, methodologies, principles, whatever. But if you have a good atmosphere, that's a great gym.
It's just like the old Bell brothers saying, if you're either in or you're in the way, right?
Yeah.
That helps. It goes a long way, like you're saying. One thing I was going to ask you about too, I forgot to earlier, was the biggest thing I missed the most, which with more gyms would include this in their training, is do you guys have an ice bath there? Like, I would love if gyms had
I wish we
ice
had one.
baths.
I know you keep saying
Just
that.
get a horse trough, throw some freaking ice in it. Like,
Let's do it.
Do you like that as recovery? Some people do, some people don't. But what's your take on it?
For like an ice bath,
Yeah, like recovery-wise, isn't that the best thing you can do for yourself?
I would love to be able to do that more often.
Yeah.
That's something like opening my facility.
Yeah.
That's something that you could, is very realistically possible to
Yeah.
do. I mean, I know I have a friend that owns a Strongman gym, and they have that there.
Do they really?
Yep.
Where is this at?
So this is in Williston, North Dakota.
Road trip.
Way in the corner.
We're here to use your ice bath.
I mean, it's also North Dakota, so I guess they could just go outside too.
Yeah, no shit. Just jump in a fucking lake.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess we could do that here. There's a pond. There's Carver Lake. I guess.
10,000 of them.
Yeah. God,
You could have some plow guy just all in that one
Dude,
area.
put all the snow in that right over there.
Yes.
No, that's something I know. That got me through my football career. My junior, senior year, I think I did an ice bath every day. Otherwise, I wouldn't play. He actually made me go in there first time.
It's great.
Yeah.
Memories. So as far as so we kind of got over your powerlifting, your strongman, chiropractic. How about owning your own gym in the future and all that? What about the motocross stuff? Do you have any desire to ever get back into that or get back to that in the future? Is that kind of like...
I've thought about it, like
Yeah.
when I can't compete,
Yeah.
like just do something that's a little easier.
Yeah.
And I necessarily, like I'll never do motocross again, so I'll
Okay.
be way too big for that.
Yeah.
But something
It'd be
like-
pretty funny to see that.
I would break a lot of stuff. Like I broke a lot when I was 215.
Yeah.
But
305-pound man.
I'd never say never.
Yeah.
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 Like it's one of those
So outside of the gym or anything, do you have anything that brings balance to your life that you kind of get away from everything besides sleep? Is there anything else you really like to do?
Well, I like to watch a lot of comedies and spend time with my dog.
okay.
Like
What kind of
that,
dog
so
do you have?
I have a boxer pit bull mix.
Oh, wow.
That I got literally like I think a week after I graduated from school.
Okay. Just a lot of tug of war matches at night?
Yep.
Oh, man.
He's
Yeah.
giant spoiled baby.
That's awesome.
Dogs are the way to go.
What comedies are you into? Anything specific or?
I mean, like stand up, sitcoms.
Okay.
Big Mouth.
I love that.
That's such a good show.
Another one I get made fun of all the time, but I don't care, is like, I love watching romantic comedies.
Serendipity over there?
I feel at this point,
Oh my God.
I'm strong enough that I can say that.
It's okay.
Fair enough.
That's your dog hiding behind the couch. That's awesome.
I would have known that. Yeah.
Summer catch, that's another great one.
Yeah, that is a good one.
Okay, the messed up thing is you know about these things.
I do.
He's a
This
closet.
podcast is over.
Come on out of the closet.
Learning so many things.
I hear you. All right, that was great. So if people want to get in contact with you, follow you, what's your Instagram? How do people get in contact with you?
So the best way to get a hold of me is Instagram.
Okay.
Like my username on there is kind of fat, kind of strong, all one word.
Kind of fat, kind of strong.
Kind of fat,
That's
kind of
great.
strong.
Yes.
Yep, because I feel like so many people either want to be super ripped or super strong, but there's
Yeah.
that whole field in the middle. It's
Kinda,
like,
yeah.
I'm kind of in shape, I'm kind of not, I'm kind of strong, but
I think that's where
It's the
that's
kind
where
of
I'm at.
class.
So
Yeah.
I respect it. I get it.
I could go really fat, kind of strong. That's good. And then, are you have any room for coaching if people want to reach out to you, or are you
yeah,
kinda full
if you want
deployed, or-
to, so I'm not full right now.
Okay.
Like I could have room for a couple more.
Sure.
So yeah, if you want to reach out to me, just shoot me a DM on Instagram and see what we can do.
Awesome.
And then a couple of things that I want to mention real quick.
Go ahead.
is I have to mention the sponsors because I wouldn't be here without them.
Okay.
For sure.
First one is Contraband Sports that we said already. So they're on Instagram at Contraband Sports. You can also find them on Amazon, and they're also going to have a booth at the Arnold. I don't know if this will air before then, but the booth for Contraband will 8/31. And then one of my newer sponsors, Massonomics. Check those guys out, massonomics.com.
Oh, yeah.
You can buy the most overpriced lift shorts in the world.
Stone, come on.
The drama, the saga continues.
Yep. And then they're also going to be at the Arnold this year too.
Yeah.
And they're going to be at booth 528.
Okay.
So check them out there.
That's awesome.
No, we'll make sure it's aired before then.
Yeah, we'll get it
That's
out
not a problem.
for sure.
Yeah. All right, with Brad Neitzel, kind of fat, kind of strong.
Yep.
Thank you for coming out here.
Hell yeah, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, man. That was awesome.